95% of professional engineers now use AI tools every week. Most of them use Claude the same way they use Google. Type a question, read the answer, close the tab. The Pragmatic Engineer survey for 2026 put a number on how wrong that is. 55% of engineers regularly use AI agents. The ones who do report significantly higher enthusiasm about their AI workflow than the ones who don't. The difference isn't the model. The chatbot crowd and the agent crowd are talking to the same Claude. The difference is the mode. And most developers, most senior developers, are still in the wrong one. Let's be precise about what the two modes actually are. Mode 1, Claude as a tool. You have a question, you type it into a chat window. You read the answer, you copy something, paste it, and close the tab. This is Claude as a better Stack Overflow. It's useful. It saves you a search. It's also the ceiling of how 90% of developers still use it. Mode 2, Claude as an agent. You have a task. You describe it. You walk away. Claude reads your repository, makes changes across multiple files, runs the tests, iterates on the failures, and comes back with a pull request. You didn't answer questions along the way. You didn't copy and paste. The work happened without you. On any single task, the difference looks small. On a week of tasks, it's the difference between a developer who ships features and a developer who babysits a chatbot. Here's what tool mode actually costs you. You hit a bug. You describe it to Claude. Claude explains what's probably wrong. You go back to your editor. You fix it the way Claude suggested. The tests fail. You describe the failure back. Claude gives you a new suggestion. You fix it again. 3 context switches, 4 copy-pastes. 20 minutes of typing for 6 lines of actual code. In agent mode, you describe the bug and point at the failing test. Claude reads the file, makes the fix, runs the test, sees it's still failing, makes another fix, and shows you what it changed. 0 context switches, 1 review at the end. Tool mode isn't wrong. It's just the wrong mode for most of what developers actually do. So what does agent mode actually look like in practice? 2 tools matter most right now. Claude Code. This is a terminal agent. It runs in your command line. You describe what you want in plain English. Claude reads your codebase, plans the changes, edits the files, runs the commands, interprets the output, and keeps going until the task is done or it genuinely gets stuck. It doesn't explain. It doesn't ask a question every 10 seconds. It does the work. Claude Cowork. This is a desktop agent for the rest of your work, the non-code tasks. Research, writing, organizing, anything that's a sequence of steps rather than a single question. You give it a workflow, not a prompt. It builds out the steps, executes them, and gives you back something finished. Both tools share the same fundamental shift away from chat. You're not describing the answer you want, you're describing the task you want completed, and you're leaving. The other piece worth understanding is Model Context Protocol, MCP. MCP is how Claude connects to things that aren't a chat window. Your GitHub, your Slack, your Postgres database, your linear project. Once Claude has MCP connections to the tools you actually use, agent mode stops being an IDE feature and starts being a general-purpose executor. You can tell it, look at the on-call channel, find the incident from last week, pull the commits that touch the affected service, and summarize what changed. That's 1 sentence of instruction. It touches 4 different systems. It's not a question. It's work being delegated. This is what most developers still haven't internalized. Claude is not a search engine with opinions. Claude is an agent with hands. Let me get concrete. 4 scenarios where agent mode genuinely changes the math. 1. Refactoring a codebase. In chat mode, this goes, how should I refactor this component? Claude gives you an approach. You implement it. Something breaks. You ask again. Repeat for every file that needed to change. In agent mode, this goes. Refactor this component. Update every import that references it. Make sure the types still check, and run the tests. You walk away. You come back to a diff. You review it. Either it's right, or you ask for one specific change. You never once touched 20 different files by hand. The unlock isn't that Claude is smarter in one mode than the other. It's that in chat mode, you are the orchestration layer. In agent mode, Claude is. 2. A daily intelligence brief. Most developers start the morning the same way. Email, Slack, the on-call channel. 3 product threads that happened overnight. The vendor status page you forgot to check, 20 minutes before you've even opened your editor. With an agent connected to the right tools, your email, the on-call channel, the status pages you care about, your calendar, you delegate the morning read. The agent pulls the signal. It filters the noise. It gives you a 3-paragraph brief. The brief isn't generic news. It's filtered specifically by what you're working on this week. You don't train this. You describe it once. The agent runs it every morning. 3. Overnight development tasks. This one is the clearest demonstration. You finish your day with a well-scoped task. Add pagination to the search endpoint. Write the tests. Update the API documentation. You hand it to Claude Code with a clear spec and go to sleep. In the morning, one of 3 things has happened. The task is done, and there's a pull request to review. The task is 90% done, and Claude has left a note about the one decision it didn't feel comfortable making. Or, Claude got genuinely stuck and left a detailed log of what it tried. All 3 outcomes are better than you writing it yourself at 9 in the morning, with a coffee you haven't drunk yet. 4. Connected workflows through MCP. This is the newest and most underappreciated one. MCP gives Claude real hands in systems other than the file system. When Claude can read your GitHub issues, query your database, and post to your Slack, you start giving it instructions that cross tools. For example, look at open issues labeled bug. Pull the error logs for each one from the database, group them by root cause, and post the summary to the engineering channel. That's 4 tools, 1 instruction, no typing. The first time this actually works, and you're reading the summary Claude posted while you drink your first coffee, something clicks. Not because it saved you 20 minutes, because you realize you've been copy-pasting between tools for a decade when you didn't have to be. So, how do you actually move from chat mode to agent mode? The shift is behavioral, not technical. The tools are sitting there. You already have access to them. The reason most developers stay in chat mode is a set of habits, and the habits are specific. 3 changes. 1. Stop asking questions. Start giving tasks. The wrong prompt. How do I add rate limiting to this endpoint? That's a question. The answer you get is a tutorial. You then have to apply the tutorial yourself. The right prompt. Add rate limiting to the search endpoint. Use the rate limiter we're already using on the auth endpoint. Keep the same error shape. Write a test. That's a task. The answer is the work. Done. 2. Stop giving isolated tasks. Start giving workflows. The wrong pattern. Task, review. Task, review. Task, review. You're still the pipeline. Claude is a very fast step inside a human workflow. The right pattern: give a full workflow. Add rate limiting. Write the test. Run the existing test suite. If everything passes, open a pull request with a description. 1 instruction, 4 steps. Claude chains them. You only show up for the review. 3. Stop checking every step. Start setting completion criteria. The wrong instinct: read every line of code as Claude writes it. Interject with corrections in real time. The right instinct: define upfront what finished looks like. The tests pass. The new endpoint returns the same error shape as the existing ones. The pull request description lists the files changed. Those are completion criteria. Claude can self-check against them. You're not supervising. You're reviewing the final output.
Here's the exercise. Pick one task that annoys you. Something rote, something you do every week. A release summary, a dependency update, a log pattern report. Delegate the entire thing, with clear completion criteria, to an agent. Not a piece of it, the whole thing. If it works, the habit starts forming on its own. If it doesn't, the failure tells you exactly what the agent couldn't do, which is useful information too. Let's close with the numbers, because this isn't vibes. The gap is measurable. Pragmatic Engineer's AI Tooling Survey for 2026. 95% of professional engineers now use AI tools at least weekly. That's close to saturation. But within that group, the split is sharp. 55% regularly use AI agents, not chat, agents. Senior and principal engineers lead the charge. 63.5% of them. That's nearly 9 points above the overall average. Read that carefully. The most senior engineers in the profession have already moved to agent mode. The people whose time is most expensive, whose judgment is most trusted, they're the ones who stopped asking Claude questions. If you're still in chat mode, the data isn't ambiguous. The top of the market has already moved. Here's the part nobody wants to put on camera. Using Claude as a chatbot isn't wrong. It's just the easy version. The version that requires nothing from you. You sit, you type, you read, you copy. It feels like working. Using Claude as an agent requires something harder. It requires you to stop being the center of every decision. It requires defining done up front. It requires trust, that the work can happen while you're not watching it. That shift, from watching to delegating, is the actual developer skill for the next decade. Not prompt engineering, not which IDE you use, not which model is winning this month's benchmark. The skill is knowing what you can stop doing and hand off. Pick one task today. Don't ask Claude how to do it. Tell Claude to do it. And walk away. If the work comes back wrong, you've learned something specific. If it comes back right, you just bought yourself the first hour of your new working pattern. That's where this actually starts.